Welcome to Hart, where we talk about games, movies, and animes, young and old. And today we're talking about the movie The Companion. There's not The Companion. I did that last time. It's just Companion. Now, I'm not exactly sure what I was expecting this movie to be, but it's definitely not what it was, if that makes sense, but in a good way. It's a horror sci-fi, but I'd say it's more of like a thriller sci-fi, I guess. An hour and 37 minutes long, and it uses time very well. Companion is about a group of friends who go to a billionaire's beach house, and something crazy happens, and then everything kind of goes to shit from there. And it's set up kind of like a little bit of a typical horror movie. Like, it just feels very predictable in the way that it's being set up, especially because at the very beginning of the movie, it's probably my least favorite thing about the whole movie, is that it tells you how it's going to end, like right at the beginning. It just tells you. And even though, sure, it doesn't directly say, this is how the movie's going to end, but if you just watch the movie, you see it, and you go, okay, yeah, no, that's definitely how the movie's going to end. Like, that what she just said is not going to happen in the middle of the movie, I'll tell you that. Because if it did, then I don't know what the fuck would happen for the rest of this movie. So that was definitely annoying, but it didn't take away from the adventure. It was still very unpredictable once the main shit hit the fan. Actually, I can say it because it's in the IMDb tagline, so it's not even a spoiler, but it says, a billionaire's death sets off a chain of events for Iris and her friends during a weekend trip to his lakeside estate. This is another movie where, like the last couple movies I've watched, where the actors just absolutely kill it. Sophie Thatcher is our main character, Iris. Dominated. I'm pretty sure she's in Heretic, and I loved her in Heretic. I thought that was sick. Jack Quaid, he's in The Boys. He's in a couple other things too. I don't know. I do generally like him. I think he's pretty good. But basically, like I said before, there is a very large twist at the very beginning of this movie. And I wouldn't say, well, there's a very big twist at the end of Act 1, let's say. And it just sets off the events for the rest of the movie. And it was so good. Like, it's a great way. It's very modern. Maybe I can say that. Because I really don't want to say it. Because I kind of feel like it'll not necessarily spoil things. But I didn't know. Even though it's there in the advertisement. The name kind of insinuates some stuff with the movie. That's kind of all I'll say there. If you don't know, you may already know. And the reason why I say it's more of a thriller than a horror. Like, definitely more of a thriller. It's because it honestly keeps you on your toes. There are so many just left hooks, curveballs. Yeah, there's so many curveballs, so many unexpected changes in this movie, while at the same time being predictable. And I can't really talk about that without getting too much into spoilers. So with that, I'll just say, I think that you should watch it to find that stuff out for yourself. But I will add that I really, the whole beginning of the movie, like the first act, is just a very typical by the numbers setting up a horror movie in a cabin or something like that. It just tells us how our main characters came into a relationship. And since we're following, our female lead, of course, her boyfriend has, a best friend who's a girl who just hates the girlfriend for some reason. It just sets up this very typical dynamic amongst the friends. And it's also very secluded. No, it's not. It's just isolated. There is no world building. You don't feel like any type of world building going on in the first act, which I thought was weird. But then it does all of that. All the things that it's not doing in the first act, once things step it up a notch, it kind of gives you a better idea of the world that we are set in, which is a modern day world, but a little bit farther into the future. Like Detroit Become Human type of future. That's probably a perfect example. Like the only other thing I could think of that's similar to this. And you kind of get some world building like right up until the end. And I guess what I'm trying to say with that is that I kind of like the way this movie is built. I think that's a fun way to say that. This movie is built, structured in this very interesting way that I think is a little bit different. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. I think it's just structured a little differently, but that goes to theme with the whole movie. So I don't know how else to really expand on that. That's kind of just what that thought is. And there's also one part, oh man, I really want to talk about without it being a spoiler. Like, they do a really good job of showing you a certain thing that is important, and it's going to be important later. And it's very obvious when you see the thing, the object, let's say, and you're like, that's going to be important, but I don't know why. Like that, they're very clearly showing me this object. I have no idea why though. And then once it becomes important, you go, oh shit, that was fucking cool. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope it does. But basically, Companion, I really liked it. It's another one where I wasn't expecting, I didn't know what I was expecting going into it. It seems to be just the best thing to do with movies. Just don't watch trailers, don't know what the fuck you're going into, then it ends up being just so much better than anything you could expect. My review on Letterboxd, let me read it. I don't like the star system on Letterboxd, so I'm not going to bother with that. But I said, set up as a very typical horror movie, takes a genuinely crazy turn and there's no looking back. It's not a horror, by the way. That's just the setup. And once again, the actors absolutely kill it. This could be set in the world of Detroit Become Human, and I'd believe it. I really wish they didn't tell you how the movie ends, but still very enjoyable. So if you like that, I got a lot more where that came from on my channel, Just Jacob here. This is my 2024 recap set to His World, the Sonic the Hedgehog OST. Honestly, so fire. That song is great. Got a bunch more movie reviews, my favorite of 2024, and a lot more where that came from. So subscribe to stay updated with the latest. And until next time, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. And Jacob, go to sleep.